For me, so much of like the scholarly work I did there was like, okay, let me use my head and read these texts and follow these theologians and thinkers and analysts to understand how Christianity in particular has contributed to a particular way of thinking that is a major source of this ecological crisis, right? So this is like the Lynn White
Mhm.
essay.
Yeah, yeah.
And this really was quite impactful for me. I was like, I'm getting to some roots here. I'm getting to the roots of sort of dualistic thinking, like Manichaean dualistic thinking, body and spirit being separate, earth and heaven, like really starting to recognize, digging into the ways that like unconsciously all of us that grew up with like a hegemonic religious tradition that came out of Christianity and Judaism, how we've internalized some really, really strong thinking subconsciously that affects how we relate to this world, to like these things that we consider non-human or other than human. And and I really felt like I was finally getting to like the heart of things. And it felt very justifying. I was like, I'm in the right place because I really want to get to the roots. I really want to get to the roots. And the roots seems to be a particular deep way of thinking specifically about who we are in relation to the natural world. And when I was with Spiritual Directors International, I kept sort of looking for like, okay, what tools are we giving these folks to help those that they're companioning and guiding to be thinking about that particular, that particular grief, like that particular separation of the natural world, and that as a root of maybe whatever else is showing up in their lives. And I didn't find much. And this was about the same time that I started paying attention to what was going on with the emerging psychedelics movement. And I found myself wondering, we've got all of these spiritual directors and companions in our network. Most of them are white Christian women in their 40s and 50s based in America. But nevertheless, they're like working with millennials, and increasingly they're going to see folks coming to them and either saying, I had an experience with plant medicine and I need help making sense of it, or I'm planning to do something. Can you help me prepare? Or will you even like be with me while I try this out? And that we were going to be sort of woefully unprepared for this movement. So I started kind of talking and I was like, I think we need to start talking. I think we need to bring psychedelics into this space. And the organization was not interested at the time. I don't know if they are now, but they really weren't. And so this was my pivot then into psychedelics. I joined a startup called the Synthesis Institute that at the time was kind of like the gold standard of psychedelic practitioner training for people who wanted to work with psilocybin. And I came on board and helped to design and then direct this 15-month online program for people to become sort of safe, responsible, trained, informed, ethical facilitators, guides for psychedelics and for specifically for psilocybin. And for me, this all of a sudden it was like all coming together. It was like this is a fascinating tool for transformation. It's not the only one, but boy, is it a powerful one. This can bring about profound change in people, in communities. This can on a global scale, right? Right? On like a cosmic scale. Folks talk about that scale as well. Um, but also for me, it was like, gosh, if there were ever something that could help pretty dramatically for us to think differently, here is something that's really potent and really, really interesting. So if we've gone through our lives like I have, in all of the subtle and direct and indirect ways, taking in messaging that I am separate from the rocks and the trees and the air and the animal, that I am uniquely separate and different, and that it's going to take a whole lot of like plumbing and like sort of endless, I don't know, meditation or whatnot to undo that. This is a very, very interesting tool to bring about like a whole different like reforming neurological pathways to be open to a reset. And that was what I was bringing into my work in psychedelics